Once upon a time, in a small African village nestled deep within nature's embrace, lived a girl named Zara. But Zara wasn't just any girl. She was like the morning sun. Her beauty brightened everything around her. Her presence made the birds sing louder, the flowers bloom brighter, and the people smile wider. Visitors from nearby villages would travel miles just to catch a glimpse of Zara. She was a sight to behold. Her smile, like a rare treasure, brought light to anyone who saw it. Her laughter danced in the air like a melody, bringing joy to everyone. But Zara was more than just her looks. She had a kind heart, and people admired her for her generosity and warmth. Her parents, who were simple farmers, always knew she was special, a blessing from the skies. They couldn't believe the attention their daughter brought, as chiefs, wealthy traders, and men of high standing would visit their home, bearing gifts of beads, gold, and money just to be near her. The men of the village constantly spoke of her beauty, and even beyond that, it was her kindness that made her a true treasure. But her beauty, though admired by many, also caused envy and jealousy in others. Particularly, the women in the village were not happy with how their husbands and sons constantly praised Zara. It wasn't long before whispers began to spread. "Why don't you dress like Zara?" some men would ask their wives. "Zara carries water with such grace. Maybe you should try it." These words stung the women and their daughters, making them feel as though Zara had stolen all attention away from them. Jealousy grew like a dark cloud over the village, and soon the women could no longer hide their disdain for Zara. One day, something unexpected happened. A man named Zoe, a villager, left his wife. The reason? His wife had said something cruel about Zara, calling her beauty a curse. In a fit of anger, Zoe shouted, "No one in my house will speak ill of Zara." And with that, he sent his wife back to her family. This incident only fueled the growing resentment towards Zara. The women, already upset, were now determined to do something about her. At first, Zara was unaware of these changes in the village. She continued to be kind, smiling at everyone as she always had. But the village was no longer the same. The whispers and dark glances followed her wherever she went. Soon, rumours started to spread. People began saying that Zara's parents had gotten her from the river spirits, as they had been childless for 7 years before she was born. The villagers, already driven by envy, started to believe these wild tales. In secret, the women of the village met to discuss their plan to rid themselves of Zara. They decided to put something in her food, something that would make her sick and drive her away. They thought that if Zara was gone, their husbands and sons would look at them again, and their daughters would once more be admired. They convinced one of Zara's friends to help, feeding her lies about Zara being the cause of all their troubles. The plan was set, and Zara's friend, now fooled by the women's words, agreed to slip the harmful substance into Zara's food. But fate had a different plan. As Zara sat down to eat, she accidentally knocked her bowl over. The food spilled onto the ground, and a hen quickly pecked at it. By the next morning, the hen was dead. Zara, unaware of what had happened, thought it was simply an accident. But the women of the village were horrified. Their plan had failed. Realizing they needed to be more careful, the women began plotting again. The village, once filled with joy, was now consumed by jealousy and secret schemes, all aimed at Zara. Yet, Zara remained kind, unaware of the brewing storm around her. She continued living her life as usual, though she began to notice the change in the air. The once friendly smiles of the villagers had turned into cold stares, and the whispers behind her back grew louder. Zara felt the weight of the villagers' disdain. The women's cold glares and the men's continued admiration made her feel like an outsider in her own home. Friends who once visited her now stayed away, making excuses whenever she invited them over. The loneliness settled in her heart like a heavy stone. Zara, once the pride of the village, now felt like a burden. As time passed, the jealousy and envy of the village women only intensified. Zara's parents, worried for their daughter's safety, heard rumours from neighbouring villages. They spoke of plots to drive Zara away, and her mother would often caution her, "Be careful, my child, the village is no longer safe for you." One fateful evening, Zara overheard a group of women speaking ill of her. They were plotting something even worse this time. Fear gripped her heart. She knew she could no longer stay in the village. It was too dangerous. That night, with tears in her eyes, Zara made a tough decision. She would leave her home, her family, and everything she knew. She couldn't bear to put her parents in harm's way, nor could she continue living in fear. Before dawn, the next morning, Zara packed a small bag with some food, water, and a blanket. She kissed her parents goodbye in their sleep, leaving behind a note. "I will be safe. I love you both. Zara." With that, she stepped into the early morning air and disappeared into the forest. Unbeknownst to Zara, someone from the village had been watching her. Ki, a hunter known for his bravery and skill, had always admired Zara from afar. Unlike others, he didn't just see her beauty, he saw her strength, her resilience, and her kind heart. When he noticed the change in the village, the whispers and the glares, he grew concerned. The women's jealousy had clouded the once peaceful atmosphere, and Ki feared for Zara's safety. So when Zara left the village, Ki decided to follow her. He wanted to protect her, though he didn't want her to know. As Zara ventured deeper into the forest, Ki kept his distance, watching over her like a silent guardian. Zara found a small clearing by a stream, a peaceful spot where she could settle. She gathered sticks and leaves, building herself a simple shelter. It wasn't much, but it was enough to keep her safe. At night, she would lie awake, listening to the sounds of the forest. It was lonely, but in the forest, she felt free from the judgment and jealousy of the village. Days turned into weeks, and Zara adapted to her new life. She gathered fruits, fetched water, and kept to herself. But what Zara didn't know was that she was never truly alone. Kai, the silent protector, watched her every day. He admired her strength, how she managed to survive on her own, despite everything she had been through. Whenever Zara wasn't looking, Kai would leave small gifts for her, extra fruits, some fish he caught, or fresh water in a clean container. He wanted to help her, but he didn't want her to feel like she was being watched. At night, Ki would stay close to Zara's shelter, listening to the sounds of the forest, making sure no danger came near her. He felt a deep respect for Zara. The village had treated her unfairly, but in the forest, she had found a way to survive on her own. Ki wanted to protect her, even if she didn't know he was there. As time passed, Zara began to grow accustomed to her life in the forest. She learned to live off the land, finding peace in the simplicity of nature. But one morning, everything changed. It was a bright sunny day when Zara noticed a shadow moving through the trees. At first, fear gripped her, but when the figure stepped into the light, she recognized him. It was Kia, the hunter from her village. "Ki?" Zara's voice trembled with surprise. "What are you doing here?" Ki approached slowly, his expression calm and kind. "I've been making sure you're safe," he admitted, his voice soft but steady. "I mean, you no harm." Zara's heart raced. She hadn't expected to see anyone from the village, especially not Ki. As he explained how he had watched over her, leaving her food and water, Zara felt a mixture of emotions, gratitude, relief, and something she couldn't quite place. Over the next few days, Kie and Zara spent time together. They talked, laughed, and shared stories about their lives. Kie showed Zara how to make traps for small animals, and Zara taught Kie how to weave baskets from reeds. In the quiet of the forest, away from the judgmental eyes of the village, Zara and Kie found solace in each other. Zara, who had once felt so alone, now had a companion, and Kie, who had always been a loner, found in Zara a gentle heart that understood him. As the days turned into weeks, their bond grew stronger, and soon they realized that they had found something more than friendship. Back in the village, things were not going well. Ever since Zara left, the village had fallen into decline. The market, once bustling with activity, was now quiet. The traders who used to visit had stopped coming, and the village's prosperity began to fade. The men, once full of life, were now sullen and withdrawn. The women who had thought that driving Zara away would bring them peace began to feel the weight of their actions. The village chief, a wise old man, noticed the change. He saw that the village had lost its joy, its spirit. One day, he called a meeting under the big baobab tree. The villagers gathered, curious about what the chief would say. "We thought we were removing a problem when we let Zara go," the chief began, his voice heavy with regret. "But we were wrong. Zara was not a curse. She was a blessing. Look at our village now. Our market is dying, our children are losing their way, and there is no joy in our hearts." The villagers listened in silence, their heads bowed in shame. They knew the chief was right. Zara had been the heart of the village, and without her, everything had fallen apart. "We must bring Zara back," the chief continued. "She is part of this village. Without her, we are not whole." The women, realizing the truth of the chief's words, felt a deep sense of guilt. They had been the ones who had driven Zara away, blinded by jealousy and envy. And now, it was up to them to bring her back. The next morning, a group of women from the village set out on a journey to find Zara. As they walked through the forest, they reflected on their actions, sharing their feelings of guilt and regret. "We never thought it would come to this," one woman said, her voice low. "We were so caught up in our jealousy that we couldn't see the truth." As they walked deeper into the forest, they realized just how wrong they had been. Zara had been a blessing, not a curse. Her beauty and kindness had brought joy and prosperity to the village, and they had driven her away because of their own insecurities. On the third day of their journey, they came across a small clearing. In the center of the clearing was a simple shelter made of sticks and leaves. The women approached cautiously, their hearts pounding. Could this be where Zara was living? "Zara," they called out softly, "it's us, the women from the village." There was a moment of silence, and then Zara appeared, stepping out of the shelter. She looked different, stronger, more confident, but there was a sadness in her eyes. The women, overcome with guilt, began to apologize. One by one, they admitted their wrongs, begging Zara for forgiveness. "We were wrong, Zara," one of the women said, her voice trembling with emotion. "We let our jealousy blind us. The village is not the same without you. Please, come back with us." Zara listened, her heart torn. She had found peace in the forest, but she missed her home, her family. Could she return to a place that had caused her so much pain? "I'll come back," Zara said after a long pause, "but only if things will be different. I will not be treated as just a pretty face. I want to be respected for who I am, not just how I look." The women nodded eagerly, promising to treat Zara with the respect and honor she deserved. They had learned their lesson, and they were determined to make things right. Zara agreed to return to the village, and as they walked back through the forest, she felt a sense of hope. She knew that things wouldn't be easy, but she also knew that she had the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. When Zara returned to the village, it was like the dawn of a new era. The villagers, filled with joy and relief, welcomed her back with open arms. They had learned the value of kindness, respect, and community, and they vowed never to let jealousy cloud their hearts again. Zara, with Key by her side, found happiness once more. The village thrived, and Zara became a respected member of the community, not just for her beauty, but for her wisdom, kindness, and strength. And so, Zara's story became a tale of redemption, a reminder that true beauty lies not in appearance, but in the heart.